Hey everybody, welcome to episode 98 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood-type Ben. BT, how you doing today?
Hello, doing very well. Heat's back. It sucks, but
The heat.
The world we live in now. So
Yep, you're right. The heat is back, and so is Miltonio Banderas. Milton is joining us today. How you doing, Milton?
I'm doing good, thanks. Yeah, melting, but all good.
What's the weather like on the continent?
It's crazy. I mean, we went in the sea the other day. It was like being in a warm bath.
Was it the English Channel?
Absolutely tropical, unreal.
I haven't swum. I think I've ever swum in the sea in England or near England, like you are.
ever.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe as a kid, like my parents might have tried to throw me away, but I clearly floated back. Greece, I think I swam in the sea briefly in Greece, but otherwise, I'm a bit. I don't like the idea of it. Like,
next beachhead down in Bournemouth, we'll do that. We'll do the awards ceremony in the sea.
In the sea, dude. If it's warm like this, then yeah. Although beachhead
is all right, actually.
In February, not ideal. It did make me think earlier though. Do you remember when we used to do the Bonehead Bowl in August?
Oh God, yeah, that was awful.
What
a top of employment without aircon.
Yeah,
that was horrendous. Everyone was just crowded under the one air conditioning bin, wasn't it?
It's because the 40k guys had like the air-conned part of the tournament space. It was just horrific. Yeah, that was the year where we had like floods, wind, and sweltering heat.
The works.
It was We haven't had snow yet. I'm looking forward to that version. But anyway, BT, episode 98. What are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to be doing the South Coast Autumn Preview. We'll be talking about some tournament gimmicks and differences, and also the usual.
That's right. We've got our events, coming up pretty soon. 71 days, 12 hours to go at the point of recording. And it kind of brought to mind how many different tournaments there are out there, and the fact that I think we talked about it a couple of podcasts ago. Like, actually, each tournament's got its own thing, right? And every league has kind of got its own thing. So we're going to talk through what some of the tournaments' things can be, what you want to look out for, what you might enjoy, because it's great how individual everything is in Blood Bowl, but it can also be quite fractured. Some of it's good, some of it is less good, I guess. Anyway, let's hit Blood Bowl news. Okay, so Blood Bowl news time, and we're going to start off the same way we start off every single time, in theory, and just want to say thank you to everybody out there who likes the show, follows us on YouTube or wherever, and expressly those people who support us on Patreon. It means that we can get hold of new releases and do cool videos and stuff like that, so really appreciate it. We got some new patrons to say hello to this week. We got Steve, with that many E's. We've got Matt, Sean Fleming, Bradley Baker, John Wood, Glenn Reed, Jack Waller, Adam Wilcox, Tom Rolfe, Lepilf, Nicholas Dunlop, Tim, Justin McDonald, NHAP1, and a whole bunch of others. So a massive thank you to everybody who supports us that way. And just want to pop another thing. Ben and Milton have been jazzing up a treat, the Discord. So I will remember to put a link to our Discord in the show notes this time round. Because, I mean, what have you done to it, Ben?
Oh, just categorize things, change the font. It looks a bit nicer. We've jigged the roles around. I think we're looking to add a few more things. Maybe some custom roles. We're definitely in the process of adding emotes. So soon we'll have some sick ass peepos and things like that. Probably not, but we'll be adding custom emotes and things like that. So yeah, it's a cool place to hang out now. So into Blood Bowl.
Yeah, definitely. If you're not there
very
already,
active as well.
Come join the conversation.
Wicked. Okay, cool. Right, obligatory plugs for their socials all done. Right, we've got some tournaments to talk about. and we're going to be running them, so it makes a lot of sense. Now, we've got South Coast Autumn coming up on the 23rd of October. Is it 23rd and 24th, or 22nd and 23rd?
It's 22nd and 23rd, isn't it?
22nd and 23rd of October. Saturday is 11s and Sunday is 7s. We're going to talk about the tournament in detail a little bit later on, but 71 days to go. I think about half the tickets are sold now. The dice are here, which is cool. We've got a whole bunch of prizes already as well. Some from Grebo, we've got some from Fanath too. So that's just standard for what we do now. Milton has been prepping like a madman, which I think we'll touch on probably in hobby. And we've been experimenting with filming games to potentially do some live streaming. So actually, I'm hoping this is going to be our best one yet. But like I said, we'll talk about that one in a minute. And if you can't make it all the way to Southampton for that one, then actually I have to use a different mouse because I've done this silly. We've got Bonehead Bowl in 106 days down at Entoyment in Poole. Now this is going to be mixed teams and Dungeon Bowl teams and regular teams with regular Blood Bowl. So 3 rounds of 11's Blood Bowl with a outrageous amount of teams possible. So if you want to run your College of Heavens or College of Metal or College of Shadows or the College of Beasts, actually, there's a ton of it. You can run that. You can do a mixed team. It's just going to be 3 games of absolute carnage at Entoyment, and Entoyment is just an absolutely awesome place to go. So we've got 3 Blood Bowl tournaments coming up. 1 11's regular, 1 7's regular, and 1 mixed team madness 11's. Basically to round out the rest of the year. So if you can make it, come and play, because it will be some awesome Blood Bowl stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit on a couple of Kickstarters, and then we are going to check in on Amazon News, because that is going to be that's kind of over our heads at the moment. Anyway, the first Kickstarter we're going to check in is the Thick Skull Fantasy Football Carry Cases from Charlie Victor. Now, we talked about this on the pod last week, I think.
Yep.
And we've done the video, and the video has been released now. There is a big update, actually, which is that the XL version, now this is a massive carrying case. You can basically fit 2 teams in with pitches and all this stuff. The XL version is now getting the same kind of pocket layout for the top as an option instead of the big hole in the top. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you look at the Kickstarter, actually it does. There's 2 different tops between the L and the XL, and the XL has like an extra gap where you can chuck all Dungeon Bowl tiles and things like that. Well, Charlie Victor's now had a little option to swap that basically with the extra book space and counter space and things that they've got for the L version. Now we've got both. I took the which version did I take? I took the L version down to club on Tuesday, Ben. I don't think I actually showed you, did I?
No, I don't think I had a look.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Like, it's perfect. Now I've got 2 teams in there: my regular pitch, my 7's pitch, and the rulebook with a pocket full of dice and all the Bonehead tokens we've got. So it's
awesome.
It is really useful. Like, it's just grab and you are good to go. Price wise, they are expensive. So £69 for Thick Skull Large and £79 for Thick Skull Extra Large. But if you don't have anything to carry your Blood Bowl teams in, if you've got just like random boxes and tissue paper,
which we all do,
it is potentially time to invest. Like, actually having all things in one place is even more useful than I expected it to be. So I know it sounds like I'm shilling, but actually, like, I thought, well, 80 quid is quite a lot, but it's a one-off expenditure. You can store 2 whole teams in there and your pitches and your books. So it's going to keep me way more organized. And like, immediately when I opened these, I was like, I'm actually going to use these. Like, just straight up going to use these. And it's such a nice case. Like, it makes my laptop case look like meat now. It's absolute garbage.
Everything from Charlie's great quality, though. Like, this Kickstarter, I would back on the premise of the fact that everything that I've had from Charlie Victor has just been absolutely superb.
Yeah. Unnecessarily good Blood Bowl bling, I think, is the tagline that I have given them. I think they need to.
I don't know if they'll take.
I think they need to rebrand because it is unnecessarily good.
You definitely don't need. but it's nuts.
It's accurate. There's still 6 days to go. So if you are not one of the nearly 500 people that have backed it, it's open until Thursday, August 18th. Maybe, can't quite see that. It is the 18th. Good. So yes, we've got the Charlie Victor one. Just wanted to check in on that because there's an update to the case top. And then, wrong keyboard again. Mud and Blood fantasy football pitches. This one's got 10 days to go, and it is for STL Blood Bowl pitches. And I've got some files that I've tried to print off. So there'll be a video coming for this one over the weekend, probably, because it's really cool. It's really good value. And the guy who's doing it is just doing it for the love of it. So straight up, the Kickstarter has currently funded 10 pitches, a stadium, 2 dugouts, and score trackers. And he's just hooning through stretch goals. And it's £15. It's £15.
That's insane how much you get in this.
Everything. It is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is everything. It's absolutely amazing. I guess one thing to point out is that currently the squares are basically like the slabs of pitch are 5 squares by 5 squares, which is for huge. Like I had to cut it into quarters to print on the Mars 2 Pro, but this is really cleverly designed. It's been designed to be printed on a plastic printer, but printed vertically. So like the slide, each bit is supposed to be printed like on its side. Because there's a 1 mil height difference in like the way that the plastic printers go up, and the nozzle spread is normally like 0.4 mil. So actually, it's a sneaky way of getting more detail in there. I'm not sure if Trips managed to get a test print on the go with the plastic one. I know he was a bit concerned about printing something that tall on a plastic printer and having it fail.
Yeah, I remember I tried doing some orc like walls. And I had like 16 of them, like all upright, and it got to like 75% the way through, and they all failed. And that was like 16, 17 hours of printing. That was just
oh my god!
It was really painful because like it was all just like, because I wasn't monitoring it, it all just spaghettied everywhere, and it just ruined everything. And I'm just like, so I can see where he's sensitive.
That is bad beats.
Yeah, I think if you support like as in support the base well enough, I think it should be all right.
It's interesting. I printed out the dungeon for MG Picks, and those were all 2x2 tiles, and it felt like it took ages. It's funny. I one print, which was like, I don't know, 4 hours or something with the resin printer, and printed out what I feel like is a big slab of Blood Bowl coverage. Now, I think 5 squares. I mean, a Blood Bowl pitch is a pretty long thing, right? So it's still going to take a load of printing, but man, just like the dream of printing out a pitch in no time at all. But we've got 7s pitches and 11s pitches in this. Milton, have you had a chance to look at this Kickstarter yet?
Yeah. I think like initially I was a bit like, oh no, I don't know. And then I saw the Glyphstone Desert sand pitch, which is the like Egyptian one, and I was like, oh okay, no, that's cool. And then I started looking into more detail, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. For 15 quid, this is so much stuff.
This is, and I think the 15 quid is it's like what's the merchandiser thing?
Yeah, so you can sell it.
Yeah, which is phenomenal, because the chap who's built this just wants people to have access to pitches, which is awesome. I mean,
does it give you merchandise things? Just I don't want to say that.
Oh yeah, it might not. I mean, do read it, but I'm sure I read it somewhere, because I remember thinking, "Are you serious? Like, this is crazy."
Free commercial license. So,
That's
there you go.
Yeah. I remember, exactly. Wow. Right, so let's talk about what they've got, because Milton has pointed out that there's multiple pitches here. The one that actually piqued my interest is the painted example they've got, which is the Flagstone 7s pitch. First of all, it was a 7s pitch, so I was like, ooh. Then it got me thinking about, this could be Street Bowl, that's wicked. Like, I made a custom like sewer 7s pitch, and it was really cool. But this is the Bloodstone Quarry pitch and 7-a-side. Then there's the Muddy Meadows. Now, 3D printing grass, I don't think really works very well. I think, like, if you've ever printed like I don't know, Ben, doing some like custom bases and stuff, if they've got grass on them, I feel like they come out a bit. It's like, have either of you guys ever used the Amera plastics?
Yes. Yeah.
Where it's vac formed, and it's just because it's plastic, it's just a bit shiny. But being able to paint it up and add your static grass, good as gold. There's a flipping stadium in it, which is also like the stadium files are massive as well. They've got dungeon dugouts, they've got scoreboards, and then there's Loamy Glades, which really looks like the Wood Elf pitch from Games Workshop.
Yeah, very similar.
Which always makes me think, Milton, about the time we went to Entoyment and did the unboxing there that day.
Yeah, that was good fun, wasn't it?
That was really good fun. Back when you were in England, it was good. It was a good time. And then you've got the Glyphstone Desert, which... Well,
Do you know what?
It kind of looks like
what
chocolate.
really struck me with this one was the fact that the central bit is raised, like a little pyramid.
It's cool, isn't it?
And I thought that was cool because it doesn't really obstruct gameplay in any way, shape, or form because the tiles are the same size, but you get that sort of three-dimensional thing without getting in the way. And something I will say about this particular set of pictures, because there's a couple of other places that you can get STLs for pictures from, and they're amazing, but they're so detailed, as in like there's too much going on. There's so many layers like on the tile that I imagine that when you, well, I have because I've test printed one of them, that when you try and put the minis on them, they're kind of a bit, they don't sit flat. Whereas this has that like detail, but you can see that it's sort of like designed in a way where you can put the players flat on it. And I really like that.
Kraken Studios pitches look absolutely gorgeous, but there's just too much stuff on them that I don't like on some of the tiles. Like they've got some cool tiles where there's like tentacles coming out the pitch, and you're like, oh, this is amazing. I can't actually play Blood Bowl on it.
That's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And actually, I think the one you pointed out, wasn't it, the one that's painted, that looks fantastic for that. Like you've got that detail there, but it's like flat enough that you can put all the minis on it.
Yeah. I like the glyph thing because you do have that ziggurat in the middle. Like I love the idea of lining up the line of scrimmage like on the top of an Aztec temple, although this is very much Egyptian, and I got told off in the comments for a video the other week because the Aztec team I said had what's similar to
hieroglyphs?
No. What's similar to Aztecs, but isn't Aztecs at all?
Incan, Mayan?
Yeah, Incan.
Yeah.
That's it. They were like, check your history, Ben. And I was like, oh, no.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, I did apologize. So I was like, I don't know. I was wrong there. But anyway, cool. I like the 3D element to it. The Brimstone Flats lava pitch would be a wicked little fun project to paint up. No, Ben, I'm getting crazy ideas. I love this. They've even got a beach theme one for Beach Ball, which is...
No, for sharks. That's what it's for.
For the sharks. Yeah.
Printed That's a fun idea, Beach Ball.
Well, maybe. Right. That is on the go at the moment. It's got 10 days left. So when this podcast comes out, Friday for the Patreons and Saturday for everybody else, you will have plenty of time, a good week, to actually just go over and put £15 into something that's really cool that you will probably maybe use at some point. That's kind of how STL buying works, right?
Yeah, it's buying the dream.
You are buying you're buying the opportunity to do something in the future. And the cool thing is that there's just so much to choose from. Like actually building the dungeon for the final of our Dungeon Ball series was just such an awesome thing. Although I did check how much resin I used. I was like, I ordered like 4 tubs of resin that month. Most of it probably went on the pitch. So, 120 quid. But if someone was like, hey, would you like a 3D printed Dungeon Ball kit for 120 quid? I'd probably say, yeah, that's fine. Or I would have done back in the day. Maybe not so much now. Right, so that's it that I found from Kickstarters and bits and bobs that's going on. Guys, when are we going to have more Amazon news?
I think it's
not
got to be this
until
weekend.
after Elves.
Well, they've just teased the Amazon team, Milton, but they're actually going to release High Elves first.
Yeah. Could you imagine the upset? Well, we're like, I think I saw someone comment about it. Like, we're still expecting another star player, right? Same as what the Norse treatment got.
Yeah, but they didn't. They showed the third star player in the Sunday pre-order segment, as we didn't know who the third Norse star player was going to be, and then they dropped Skrog, and it was just in the next Saturday you can pre-order this, including star player Skrog Snowpelt. I was like, "Ooh, they've skipped this." But yeah, I mean, it's been like 3 weeks, I think, without any Blood Bowl, without any Amazon news. Which, if you look at the cadence of their last releases, like Norse was like, boom, Norse are coming out, and then 3 weeks later, you were somewhere in the 2 weeks of almost buying them. The Games Workshop window.
I love that each Saturday morning you're just like, we always get the message from Ben, which is just like, Amazon this weekend, right, guys?
Yeah,
so, it'll
be Sunday. It'll be Sunday.
Everyone's so optimistic as well.
I thought I had the timeline like all lined out. I was like, right, this is going to be this weekend. We're going to have I got super excited because I was like, right, we're going to have Star Player video tomorrow on the 25th, and that means that on the Sunday we're going to see the pre-order, and on the Monday we got the Star Player bit, and then nothing happened.
Yep.
For like 2 weeks, and then we got the frog lady or whatever, and then nothing happened, and then nothing's happened. So we've just in this really weird place where
maybe they canned it after the frog lady.
Maybe they were like, people don't.
That's a terrible idea.
Like,
it's not unusual though, is it? Like, this isn't the first time that Games Workshop have
no, it's not.
Teased us with some Blood Bowl stuff and then just decided to leave it for 8 months.
Is that the Tree Man? Might be the longest.
Yeah,
but this is the longest they've gone with, like, because I feel like some of the buzz is kind of. I think they're leaving it too long these days.
I've sort of stepped out of it, but I think that they've got a lot of other releases going on at the moment. Is that right?
I do not care.
Yeah. Middle Earth has had a bit of a resurgence, probably because they're trying to get that in before Rings of Power.
But I don't know if that's actually out or whether they've just previewed it. That's all preview stuff. I don't think they've released anything for ages. I think they did the massive Heresy release. Then
I was going to say
they did the massive Warcry 4-year pre-order window.
True.
I thought they were still on the Horus Heresy horse.
They kind of are. They're still. It's apparently now one of their. It's one of their core games now. Horus Heresy joined AOS and.
It's on the top of the website.
Yeah,
a core game, doesn't it?
I love that. They're like, right, we've got 3 core games now, guys. We've got Age of Sigmar, we've got Warhammer 40,000, and we've got Warhammer almost 40,000. It is a very different game, though, isn't it? Like Heresy to 40k.
It's not very different to 40k 7th edition.
I was going to say,
how can we sell more Space Marines?
Yeah. How can we sell Space Marines with slightly smaller heads? I think is the angle that they've taken for the Horus Heresy. I am loving the amount of stuff that's out there on cults for Horus Heresy now, though.
For now,
well,
that's news, isn't it?
That is news, yeah. A cheeky little segue, Ben. What's been happening in the world of mostly legal STLs?
I haven't dived into it too much. I haven't seen a lot of it firsthand, but I have heard in the 3D printing communities that Games Workshop are kind of cracking down pretty hard on cults. Cults would be, I would say, by quite a way, the best place to acquire not Space Marines or, space soldiers in heavy armor, energy generated armor.
Galactic Crusaders.
It had the best names. The librarians always had really funny names. But yeah, it was. I've heard the legal team's kind of going for them. So yeah, I don't know why it's like all of a sudden. I think a lot of Heresy stuff, especially, was available on cults because the support of Heresy was obviously lacking for quite some time, kind of like we see in Blood Bowl and third-party teams.
Yeah, dude, tanks were everywhere, which was sweet when we were looking at doing the AT-scaled Heresy stuff. Give us a case of what type of Phobos tank would you like, because they were all there. Well, they're not anymore, which I think is appropriate because that's kind of how 40k works, isn't it? Like, just as like a setting, it's a case of abundance and then miserable, like crusade. This is a crusade.
Yeah.
This is just straight up a xenophobic like
Exactly.
Games Workshop crusade. And I don't know, it kind of feels dystopian and cyberpunk to the point where I'm actually quite enjoying it.
It's thematic.
It just feels right. But okay, right. I know we're going to take a little bit of a right, well, yeah. I'm gonna War Machine.
Oh,
I want to talk about War Machine, and Milton, I've got you on, and it's especially the thing. So, Private Press do a game called War Machine. War Machine is, I think, was probably Games Workshop's biggest competitor from like a miniatures army game thing historically, right? Private Press did a whole bunch of like metal models, and it was probably the last of its kind there that wasn't just a CMON kind of style big box unit game. This was a game where you had blisters and you could pick stuff, and it's been through multiple iterations. And then since Private Press did Mark III, like the game kind of just got releases for everything, and then they moved on to look at other stuff. They did their sci-fi game, they did a whole bunch of like individual games, and also Monster Apocalypse, which I've always wanted to play, but it's actually really expensive. Now, they did a big news release just before Gen Con saying, we're doing Mark IV, and it's going to be entirely 3D printed by us as a company, which is really interesting. And also that they're basically doing the Magic the Gathering rotation thing, where they're just saying like, all your stuff will be playable in the legacy version. I can't remember what they call it, but like basically like there's a legacy version where there's like within the new rules set, you're going to have all the rules for all your old crap, but your new stuff can only be used in the new standard thing. And what they're going to do is they're just going to release new stuff for each faction, because they got to the point where they had too many models for each of the ranges. Stores couldn't stock them, and it was just unprofitable. So they're kind of having a bit of a hard reset without blowing up the world, which I think is really, really interesting. But the reason I want to bring this up is that 3D printed thing. There's so much like salt about this, and we've got an experience of this in the Blood Bowl world, right? Because Grebo have been doing their Greba night, and it's been really good, really well done. And then I was mega surprised when the Fanath snake turned up and it had blooming supports. I was like, this is they're just really
still attached.
It had the divots, it had the divots.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was like, this is 3D printed. This is really interesting. So before we talk about the 3D printing bit, Milton, you dabbled in War Machine back in the golden age, right?
Yeah, no, it caught my attention because, like I think I said to you before, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the aesthetic of the setting. But there's like a range of miniatures in there which I think are amazing, and I picked up a couple and in an attempt to play some games with a friend, which sadly didn't go very far. But they're great minis. Like, I mean, really nice quality minis. They were quite fun to paint.
It is a cool, fun aesthetic, and I think I'm drawn to it now more than ever because like Blood Bowl's kind of gone the way of everybody's a little bit more bulbous, things are a little bit more exaggerated, and it's becoming like a fun thing. And War Machine's actually kind of like that. Like everything looks like it's from a comic, basically, which not like not like Garfield, but like an actual Marvel comic or something where it's just like it's just got this really cool steampunk winter aesthetic to it. And I'd never really had anything to do with the game until we hosted Bonehead Bowl, and who was it? I think it was one of the Chris's came with that ogre mixed team where all the ogres were War Machine jacks. Goblins, Gods, Great Gizmos or something was the team's name.
Was that not Richard?
Oh yeah, Richard. It was Richard.
Yeah, I played him.
Yeah,
with my orcs. Yeah, it was good fun.
And I remember seeing the models and being like, "Oh, dude, there's so many cool models in that range." But the rule set I've always found really interesting, like because I used to listen to a podcast called the D6 Generation, where they talked about all kinds of gaming stuff, and they talked through the Iron Kingdoms RPG and how it was based on like the standard rule set of like a 2d6 engine, but you could boost it and add a third dice, and it was like, and I was like, oh, I like that. That sounds like a really fun system. So I got really excited when they said they were going to be re-releasing Mark IV. I was like, oh wow, this could be like I could see myself playing that. But it's gone down like a lead balloon with the community in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of people who are like, you're ending my game, you're taking it away from us, you're changing things. And why I wanted to talk about this is there's a lot of hate about 3D printed manufacturing.
That's really odd to me.
Yeah, that's so bizarre, because, I mean, what do people think? Like, in my head, it's always been that manufacturing is going that way. I mean, it's practical, right, isn't it? Because well, not only is it slightly better for the environment rather than stacking shelves full of plastic that might never get sold, you print to demand, and therefore it's better. And not everyone's got, like, the means to justify a 3D printer or necessarily wants one, because there is a lot of work associated in it, as you both well know. In order to get it, get the supports right, get a clean print, get it off, get the supports removed, get it cured, there's a whole bunch of work associated with that. There's a cost associated with that. And, as a consumer, sometimes you just want to go and buy something off the shelf. You've got it there. You can just run with it, right?
To this day, I would rather just buy something than print it. Like, straight up.
So why complain about, like, 3D printing manufacturing? If at the end of the day, the product you get is the quality you expect, and, does it matter how it was made?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're not like, employing slaves, then I don't really see if there's like,
Well, it is made in America, and their labour market is not.
And
that is true. We are all
this is something that's been pointed out a few times actually recently with the Games Workshop stuff. It looks like Games Workshop are doing their preview molds 3D printed now, because in a lot of the previews you can see the layer lines, you can see where the supports were, and whether or not they're only doing it for the previews or whether they're using it for the master mold or what they're doing. They're definitely doing 3D printing.
That's rapid prototyping. That's what this is, right? So when I talk to people at work about stuff, they're like, what's this about? And I'm like, rapid prototyping. They're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I'm like, yes, because if I try and explain to you that I'm 3D printing board games, you'll either have more questions, which will be aggravating, or you'll have no questions, which will be aggravating. If I just say rapid prototyping, they're like, oh, that sounds fancy. And I'm like, it is.
Corporate 101.
Yeah, right. Tick, box, move on. But like with the Games Workshop stuff, if they've got the STLs, when they're going to have the STLs, if, you print it off, and then you don't have to wait to get the master done and then molded, and you can just print it off and paint it up, and you're good to go. Like, that's awesome.
I mean, I can't think that a 3D printed miniature from Privateer Press is going to be any worse than a fine cast model that came from Games Workshop.
It'll be a million times better.
That stuff was atrocious, and yet I'm sure people spent like quite significant amount of money on it. And so, like, you're almost guaranteed like a better quality from the 3D print, because they're going to have like quality control around it. And I know that you showed me some info the other day around how some people at Gen Con weren't quite so happy with that process, but it's a learning process for sure for them as well.
This was their early release batch. They were like, we're going to get some out so that we can have it at Gen Con so we can show off and build up the hype, which I don't think went as well as they were expecting. But having printed stuff, right, and having printed stuff to order, not something I would recommend. But I'm with you, Milton. I think one of the most interesting things about this in the industry, not just 3D printing at home, in the industry, is that the accessibility level, I think, is because it is so accessible to print, in theory, that it's like, well, I could just do that. But also that thing about quality, because if you cast with resin or metal, or plastic, well, if resin or metal, you're going to get mold lines and you're going to get the air vent strips, right? If you do plastic development, it's a huge amount of money, which is completely inaccessible, and you are going to have mold lines, and they're not called supports, are they? What's it called for plastic kits?
Oh, like sprue.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's go with that.
sprue knobs are going to be a problem. And then you've got 3D printing, where they're generally speaking, as long as you've supported it right, the only problem you can have is with ringing, right?
Yeah.
With layer lines. Now, where we've seen this in the Blood Bowl market, there are a couple of examples out there of some of the companies who started off doing this, where some of their models do have some of the ringing, and it's like, ooh, you can see the layer lines on this one. I'm like, yes, but can you see the flash? Can you see the mold lines that's going through this guy's face? Can you see the gap between the Dark Elf player's top of his helmet and the bottom left half of his face? Like, and I think we forget that as a, something may not be perfect, but I don't think there is such a thing as perfect miniature manufacturing. Like, the plastic kits are great, but once you've built them, they're not, because you've built your Rhino and it is slightly wonky, and you've used plastic glue and it's too late for you to fix it. You've built the Dragon and you didn't file down that extra nubbin knob that went into the other tricky hole, and there was a slight gap, and you've even got to sit there for a day with green stuff around the edges, or you just prime it twice and hope no one notices. Well, the same is true of rings, right, Ben?
Yeah, I think sometimes the rings can be pretty egregious, though. From a painting perspective, I think rings often are more hassle than mold lines, because mold lines can be shaved smooth a lot easier than 3D printing lines can. Because recently I've been working on Punga models, which are resin cast, and they're very, very clean and really nice. And then the other day I picked out of a box some of my Grebo dwarves, because I'm teaching a friend with them soon. And I just, when I had them side by side, I was like, actually, you can really see the 3D printing lines on this.
Yeah.
And when you had them like comparatively, I was thinking just like, do much prefer the resin cast.
I just have to say on the Grebo front that their dwarves were their version 1 of the process.
Yeah,
they're at version 2 now, and I cannot confirm that we've seen any of the version 3 product. But if there was a version 3 version coming, I imagine that it would be the Charlie Victor of miniature manufacturing. So
okay,
yeah, don't give up on Grebo.
Cool.
Their dwarves and Chaos dwarves had a couple of ring lines on them, absolutely. But the second generation stuff they've got now really doesn't. And I imagine that if a third version was ever going to be released, that it would be even better. And I tell you what, like Milton, I've printed a team for you with my Mars 2 Pro, and there's hardly like many bits of rings and stuff. I mean, I'll be very open and honest. I am absolutely garbage at support removal. So sorry about that. But like the actual quality of the models I've printed at home, like,
oh no, absolutely superb. Like the quality of that team was just phenomenal. I was like so taken back by it, and the shark you did for me too, absolutely amazing. And actually, that to add to what you're just saying, like the technology, we're starting to see like home use 8K printers now.
Dude, Saturn 2 is going on the buy list.
Yeah, it looks amazing, right? And so that as that technology evolves, the quality is only going to get better, right? You're going to see a lot less rings. You're going to get a lot better. And also, as people's understanding of how supports work, and that kind of, as you say, that rapid prototyping process gets refined, there's always going to be somebody coming up with some new tech, quicker, better, more reliable. Yeah. And I can imagine in sort of like 5 years' time that this will just be completely the norm in terms of manufacturing. Because as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason not to. There's every advantage towards doing it if you can produce a quality product. But yeah, I agree with you, Ben. Like if you do get like the Punga resin miniatures, they are absolutely phenomenal in terms of their quality. But I reckon we can definitely get there with the 3D printing. I think the tech's gonna get there in a few years.
The Saturn 2 is only $550.
Only.
Well, you think, actually, it was okay, so I am one of the people out there that's actually put their money where their mouth is and had a model made, had it sculpted, had molds produced, and had like metal casts made. And that one key Bonehead model that we made cost nearly £500 to produce and have like 50 of them made.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a great way to lose money. And then the Elegoo Saturn 2 is $550, which is less than that. Now that doesn't incorporate sculpting time and all that kind of stuff. But from a miniature manufacturing point, from a company point of view, if you want to get someone to sculpt you a Blood Bowl team and produce 50 models of them, that's going to cost you, I don't know, let's say you got 11 players, it's going to cost you $5,000, right? That's prohibitive unless you go Kickstarter wise. You know, to get it digitally sculpted and then not worry about the manufacturing part, and then you can take care of it with an investment of £1,000 at home that you can keep doing. Like, that makes it really, really accessible. And I'm really liking the kind of market that we've got at the moment, where there's this kind of like mainstream production, then you've got like really good third party kind of like tier 2 manufacturers, and now we're seeing STLs being just brewed up, brute fun. Agni, you know, there's a bunch of great dudes out there who are just brewing up teams, releasing them as STLs with no overhead except their initial time input. And then there are third, like tier 3 printers for Etsy or printedplayers.co.uk who are just like, you know what, I've got a printer, I can do some work printing these teams out, and it's a really interesting thing. And I think the gap in the market is having those printed stuff accessible in a store, like in Toyman.
Yeah, I Privateer Press, I guess. I kind of.
And
no.
This is really interesting because now it's going down to, okay, Privateer Press, who were a tier 1 manufacturer in that they produced their own models with their own boxes, they had plastic stuff, they had, you know, and then they had a distribution network where you'd get it in brick and mortar stores, are now going to the point where they are making their own stuff and then they're distributing it.
But they're making and distributing it. What you're talking about is effectively a situation where you'd have a store like in Toyman, they would have a 3D printer and they would buy the license from Privateer Press in order to create their product and sell their product.
Yeah, or some of the third-party bandits supply the stores. So imagine a network of 3D printers, 3D printerers, creating a distribution network for something like that, for something like Blood Bowl teams.
Yeah.
It would just be awesome, because actually having like one place to go to get a 3D printed Blood Bowl team would be really good. And I'm trying really hard not to be like, guys, let's buy like a few Elegoo Saturn 2s and do this, because my shed is already a massive fire hazard. Although I did get my replacement part for my Elegoo Mars 1 today in the post that I requested 6 months ago.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll have 2 printers on the go. Anyway,
you are right though. It's no real different to, you know, stuff being sent to a factory in Beijing instead of, you know, Dave from Crawley. Like, you're basically just like, it's 2 different things really. It's like the same thing, just a lot closer and more convenient. So I don't really see.
As long as your QA is good, your quality assurance is good, and I think it's really, I don't know. We could see a bit of a shift here that was predicted ages ago. But quite frankly, I love the idea of Mark IV being produced by the company. I don't really care if they 3D print it, as long as the quality is good. Like, doesn't really matter to me. It is better to have it in plastic because plastic is more forgiving, but plastic is a huge overhead. So I'll take really good resin, whether it's cast like Punga or some of the FANAF teams, or whether it's really well 3D printed like the newer Grebo stuff, or apparently FANAF now as well. So I don't care, as long as my models are good quality and the sculpts are great, and we're spoilt for that. I think this is the new golden age of miniature wargaming. Like, it's not as monopolized. There's no monopolies. Well, there is a monopoly, isn't there? There's an obvious monopoly, but you know, it's not quite the same way as it was in the 2000s, like where a game would need a massive investment to get a big kind of buy-in. We'll still see that, right? But I feel like it's a lot less of a flashpoint. So I know Conquest dropped and was like this big game, but I feel like that was like the last big game that kind of came out.
Yeah, Simon are always, dropping
Doing
new
stuff.
But yeah, no, I think you might be right. That's the last time I heard of a new kind of big system.
Anyway, I love Blood Bowl. So
how's the news section?
Yeah, I know. Let's talk hobby. And we're back, and it is hobby time. But in the very quick break, we did start another good discussion, and I wanted to capture it. Which, Milton, take it away.
Yeah, so obviously we were just talking about this standards legacy kind of rotation that Privateer Press are now going to apply to their War Machine model. And I was saying like how upset I would be about that, because it's one of the things that really puts me off playing Magic the Gathering. I love Magic the Gathering. I think it's a fantastic game, but you kind of have to constantly buy into standard rotation in order to stay in the meta of what's going on. Of course, you can play the legacy. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. The new cards are coming out, and that standard format kind of holds the game together. So it's where most players kind of really want to be. For a miniatures game where the buy-in's quite high anyway, that just seems absolutely mind-blowing to me. And I was just saying to Ben, I was like, well, how would you feel if Games Workshop turned around and went, well, we've kind of made like 30-something Blood Bowl teams now. That seems too many. So how about we only do 20 and we just start cycling them out?
And I jumped in there saying that I think it's actually different. I think it's worse for miniatures games, and because there's that integral time, like it's not so bad for Magic. All right, the cost is definitely comparable, right? Definitely comparable. But when it comes to like list building for like the army games and stuff like that, I hate it, because it's like, okay, I'll get a unit of 20 of these guys and I might try them out, and that unit of 20 is going to cost how many Games Workshop bucks, Ben, for a 20-man unit of something in Games Workshop?
About like 73 grand now.
Yeah, right. That's. I mean, that's not like Power 9 territory for Magic the Gathering, but you can get your deck, or at least the really shiny bits of your deck, for 70 quid. But you don't have to build the cards and paint but you have to build the cards and then regret not painting the cards. For them to be rotated out. So I think it is worse, but I really want to talk about that. What would Blood Bowl be like if there was an expiration date on teams?
Well, interestingly, it would make the meta super interesting if it was changing. As in, but it'd be, you'd have to like see how controlled it was. Like if there was a percentage of like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 teams in every rotation.
Well, the thing is, in a roundabout sort of way, the teams of Legend, they do have an expiry date.
That's true.
And we're in that pre-rotation period with Amazons right now, where you don't really want to pick up an Amazon team right now, guys, because you don't know what it's going to look like.
Ben.
And you don't want to, like, the last thing I'd want to do is pick up like half a dozen teams of Legend.
Stop.
Because you can invest in a really sweet Chaos Dwarf team, and they might wreck it. They might
get rid of Ball Center.
Yeah, right. They might they might change stuff. And it's really interesting.
You're right, actually. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about it like that. I will tell you one thing, though. I do remember about 10 years ago, I walked into our friendly local game store here on the island. I was talking to this chap, and at the time, I wasn't quite sure whether I wanted to get back into Magic or Warhammer. And he said to me, I said to him, I was like, oh yeah, I think the Warhammer's more expensive. And he looked at me and he went, no way. He was like, Magic is considerably more expensive because of this consistent buy-in. But then if you applied that to your miniatures, it would just be so expensive.
I mean,
it is for a lot of people though. Like, I mean, like the wargaming, like 40k, probably a lesser extent AOS, like shifting meta, like that is what the game is for a lot of people. They'll buy it, paint it up like absolute machines. Wish I knew how, and play it until it's not good anymore, and then get the next thing, sell it on. Get the next
I mean, if they enjoy that, that's great. Personally, that doesn't sit well with me. But like, if that's what you're really into, then
I kind of answer my own question, or my own thing. Turn there anyway. You can sell it on. Miniatures hold their value a lot more than Magic the Gathering cards.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like a lot of the Magic the Gathering cards aren't worth the card they're printed on, are they?
It's a deeper investment. I actually use Magic the Gathering cards to stick Warmaster to undercoat them and paint them. But I can't remember what I was going to say now. I'm just aware that there are going to be some Magic the Gathering players out there now twitching. But that investment is bigger, and the time investment is bigger. And I think the other thing to kind of think about is Magic the Gathering. You can go spend 50 quid, and you are playing with those cards the second that you get them. And I think when it comes to the miniature side of it, you've got that extra. I can't just buy a new unit and rotate it in. I have to spend an evening putting it together. I think that does create a bigger and more emotive barrier. And we saw that like with the whole Warhammer World reset, which was, it just sent out a psychic shockwave that made Alderaan look like someone sneezing. And I think it's just really interesting, because it brings on my second question. We will talk about hobby in a minute, guys. But Blood Bowl has got 29 teams in it. And I really wanted to sneak this into the podcast and get your guys' thoughts on this. But how many teams, Milton, is too many teams now?
Well, more Blood Bowl is more better.
Yes.
to coin a certain catchphrase. Yeah, I don't know. It's actually, that's a really interesting question, because
we want more, right? We want more. We want more new teams.
Like, in a way, I want more, and in a way, I kind of don't. And the reason that I want more is there's more accessibility, there's more hobby for people. Like, there's different teams, there's different angles for people to kind of get into the hobby.
Yeah,
we love Blood Bowl, and we want more people to come and play it because it's a fantastic game. And so, the more range there is, the more that's likely to invite new players. The more choice you have for yourself as to what you want to play. But equally, the play styles that are in Blood Bowl are quite limited. And so the more teams we're getting, the more we're kind of seeing just slight variations on what you've already got. Yeah.
Right. We've got like lizards to Black Orcs. There's like an archetype.
Yeah. And so you're basically getting a flavor of that particular style, and that's great. It's effectively like having a skin, isn't it, in a video game? You got your lizard skins on, or you got your orc skins on, and you're just playing that. Skin. Yeah, exactly, and that's fine, and that's great for the hobby. But like, at what point do we kind of saturate that? And at what point does it kind of just become, well, I'm basically just going to run my lizards as orcs, and the Khorne Berserker men, or whatever the next Khorne team would be, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think the first point I saw this where I thought it might cause an issue was when Snotlings were released, and they were just strictly better goblins. Like, they were cheaper, they had more stuff, and they just worked better in this environment. And I really thought, they kind of replaced goblins as the green, stompy, sneaky team. But it really hasn't. Goblins have got their own identity still, and they're a really fun team, and it's a really nice alt. But I think you're right, Milton. I think the more teams they add, the more that certain playstyles are subdivided, essentially. But I think it's awesome that we've got this many teams, and it doesn't feel crowded. Like, I don't know how many factions there are in 40k, but it's not 30, right? It's like 15.
I think it might be quite close, depending on how many flavors of Space
like,
Marine
do you count the different Chaos Space Marines, the different Space Marine factions?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably is. I think 120, isn't it?
Deathwatch, Grey Knights, Marines.
Oh, we're not going to count.
Someone in the comments just go and count it and tell us later.
Yeah. But this whole War Machine thing made me think, because they were like, yeah, guys, they've got too many armies, like, it's just carnage now. And I was there looking at my Blood Bowl going, uh-oh. Like, do we have a kind of, you know how they say the universe is going to expand and then just come back in on itself and explode and reset? I was like, well, that's exactly what's happening in War Machine. I was like, but I don't feel anywhere near that in Blood Bowl. But it made me consider as to whether Games Workshop are going to slow down producing teams, because I kind of had just gone to my happy place of, hey, sweet, 5 teams to go, and then all they're going to do is produce new teams. And I'm like, well, maybe they won't, because actually at some point, the more teams might start cannibalizing the sales for other teams. But I think that therein lies the difference between 40k, where you build up an army, and Magic the Gathering, where you can top up and get regular purchases to change up the way you play. I think Blood Bowl is slap bang in the middle. I think that's why I love it so much, is because you've got your team, good stuff, but actually next month there's, for £35, you've got an expansion, like a whole different way to play. And I think that's the sweet spot. So actually, I think even after you consider the Team of Legend reboots, right, when you go to Spider-Man 1, 2, 3 with the Amazons, they've still got space for a myriad of other teams. But I think you were bang on the money, Milton, in that it's going to start cannibalizing playstyles. But I think they can do it forever with an interesting combination of players. And I just don't know, Ben, whether it's in their interest to keep buying and then introducing new teams.
I mean, we've played with secret teams, which adds a whole bunch more, and that's always felt different. So I think the fact that they exist and we've been able to have a lot of really unique, interesting playstyles with them, I think we've still got a long way to go.
I don't know. I think there was a few people in our league that thought we'd maybe jump the shark.
Don't.
Hey, as long as we don't have strength 4 dwarfs, I'll be happy. But anyway,
actually,
go.
Well, yeah. So no, that's kind of an interesting point, isn't it? Because you think that there's a Slanesh team maybe coming along.
Squigs.
And so, how many other as you're talking about the secret teams there, how many other kind of fantasy tropes in Warhammer Fantasy could they do as team? Obviously, they can flesh out the Chaos gods. Where else would they go? Because if you're a brand new player and you like orcs, right? Do you go for the orc team or do you go for the Black Orc team? You've got no knowledge of the game. Which one are you going to pick up?
The one that looks better for you.
Yeah. And there's a lot of areas of Warhammer which have been undiscovered on the tabletop, which they're now doing in Total War. You're talking like Cathay, Kislev, Nippon. Yeah.
But there's also teams within just teams. If we think about, let's keep it real close, not in the box, but just outside the box for Games Workshop. And you think about the armies that they've got and the strong lore that they've got access to. They can bring back Bretonnians if they want to introduce another human team. And, they've got a whole bunch of bits out there that are right close. I do like Slanesh, Tzeentch, are two. Skaven clans. Yeah. You've got Squigs, Night Goblins. And it's just some of their stronger IP pieces. Yeah, I don't think they'll ever go back there, which is a bit of a shame. But it would be pretty sweet. But then you look a little bit further, and they've talked about a Dryad team. They've talked about a Snake Man team. They've brought Zotes back. And actually, this is all stuff that's right flipping there in the lore. Then there's Sea Elves that is right there in the lore in Eldril Sidewinder. It's right there. Mm-hmm. Before they even go and create something different. And they don't even need to create things that are different as they move forward. All they need to do is create booster packs for other teams to convert your team and have alternate rosters. Like, and this is what I think may happen in the future. Is, you know, an alternate orc roster, but actually you have to buy a £20 Forge World kit to get access to it. But I don't know what it would be. You know, I don't really care. But actually, there's a lot of flex within those rosters before they even need to create anything new, which is just awesome. And then that's obviously all looking at, that's all top down design, right? Then they could literally go the bottom up choice as well and be like, okay, what combinations of players and skill sets don't we have in, you know, for the gameplay element to it, and they could actually brew up something bottom up and just put a skin over it.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of stuff out there, but I don't, because of their release cycle, like they must see a massive spike of when the spike releases, right? Everyone gets their Norse team when the Norse team's out, and then after that, it's just a menu for new players.
Yeah.
I like,
and some collectors. I think people do still dip into new teams. You know, a league might start as often a time when someone would pick up a team.
Yeah.
Like in the league refresh. Yeah, I think, but I do know what you mean. People tend to, you know, Blood Bowl's been around for so long. If something new comes out, people will be like, "Yeah, I've got everything else. I'll get it."
Yeah, I'll get this because this will be a cool, fun, different way to play. A new modelling challenge. Yeah, actually, new leagues is a really good point. New leagues, and then of course tournaments. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Ben, it looks awfully like you're painting.
Oh yeah, we're just touching hobby, aren't we? Wow, that was news too. Okay, we might have to cut off the topic. Yeah, I am doing some hobby. I am painting Amazons because I've decided that picking up a team of legend is the right thing to do. Oh yeah, Punga's Kickstarter finally arrived. I think I was on the bottom of the pile because a week after I got my package, they said everything's been delivered now, and I'm just like, oh great.
It's
so
probably
I finally
because
got here
with the biggest order. That's why.
Yeah, they probably stacked everything else online. But yeah, it's been great. I've had a week of just building everything and painting everything. I've nearly finished the Amazon team, and there will be a video on that, which I'm holding myself accountable to, which I will try and stick to because I'm terrible at doing this because I hate editing.
I'll edit it. I don't mind.
Okay, Ben will edit it. There'll be a video.
I love editing.
So I filmed the painting process, and I'm going to do a team review, which we've been kind of blessed with the Amazon delay because it's given me time to do that. And I think they're better than the Games Workshop ones by quite a degree. But yeah, we'll come around to that. I've been building some other teams. I built a Tomb Kings team, which is awesome. Lemon fantastic team from Punga. I've got their Norse, which I've been comparing nicely with the Games Workshop ones. I've kind of been building them in tandem.
I don't like the Yeti.
Yeah. You don't like the Yeti?
Well, that's not fair. It's not that I don't like it. I think it's just compared to the rest of the team, it's fine. Like the rest of the Norse team is just like S tier, and the Yeti is just fine.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I like the Yeti.
I prefer Yeti, I guess.
I prefer Skrog. But yeah, what I do like is their Ulf Werner's look strength 4. That's a huge thing.
What a blessing.
Standing next to the Games Workshop ones, it's like, these are Ulf Werner. Those are...
the runners are rookie. So cool, man.
Oh, what, the skull?
Yeah.
I think I've got one literally right here. Yeah. they're decent.
I think I'd rather use them as my berserkers in the team than the berserker models with the bear stuff. Oh, the bear stuff is cool.
The bear stuff is pretty cool. It makes them stand out.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've been enjoying it. I've got some Chaos Doors as well to go. I've got Kislev to go, and I really wish I got the booster to make it a human team. Oh, and I wish I got the... I do wish I got that. But yeah, there was a booster team for the Kislev to make it a human team because based on the Slan roster, that pretty much adds more blitzers and more catchers.
Oh, wow. Those blitzers with the wings are absolutely amazing.
They're so cool, aren't they? And that's why I wish I had 4 of them. I really want to run them as humans because when I got them, I'm just like, I don't want to do this Slan. That's a terrible thing to do.
Slan are amazing. What are you even chatting about?
No, I'll rather run a Slan team for Slan because there's so many good Slan options now.
Oh, there is.
And
actually.
it was because Blood Bowl 2 did it for some reason, and it was always weird, and I don't really want to be that guy. But it's so strange to have a bloke in like heavy furs and armor. He has very long legs. Why?
Oh, actually, yeah.
So-
These guys do not look leapy at all.
No, not in the slide. Like the
Except
catchers do.
The breakdancing guy does. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah. I think that some of the boosters get like they do different.
Dude, that bear is better than the Yeti. Use the bear as the Yeti.
The bear is amazing. He's going to be joining the Wear team for sure.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a really good bear model.
Do you know what-
that's a cool.
Do you know what's funny? I'm looking at this Kickstarter, and because we've been blessed with so much of this 3D printing stuff, I'm like, do you know what? You can mirror those blitzers, and you're all sorted. And actually, you could upscale them and run them as a really sweet Black Hawk team. Like, that would be absolutely brilliant. You got 6 of those big boys and the bear on there. And actually, if you want 2 bears, you can just mirror it, and you've got 2. You can't mirror it because these are real models, Ben.
They are real models, but they are very nice models. The casting is excellent, and that's taken up. I think that's the hobby I've done. I mean, it's been quite a lot of hobby. I've done some, but that's boring.
Mate, those
So,
silver wings are just that helmet, the helmeted dude. That's one of the coolest models I have ever seen.
Genuinely, yeah, they're so cool. I haven't built them yet. I'm saving them to last. It's kind of like when you have a roast dinner and you leave the roast potatoes at the end. It's like that. So I'm waiting to finish on those because I want to build them, and they look so sick.
No, I don't leave the roast potatoes to the end.
Oh, you leave the best bit at the end? You know?
No, I think I leave the meat to the end with the Yorkshire. Maybe.
No, I tend to have the potatoes last. That's the
enough.
peak of the roast dinner. You know,
Ben, that is some outrageous amount of hobby, and from what we've seen of your Amazon team so far, it looks really good. Like really, really, really good. How about you, Milton? You've been doing anything creative?
Well, not a lot on the miniatures. I stuck the Slan team to bases, magnetized them, got them all packed away, and I built the giant the last time we were.
Yeah, you did.
So he's kind of just sat on his back at the moment because I think I'm going to do some green stuff work on him. But for me, mostly it's been tournament prep. Quite a lot of it, really. I've become a bit OC about it. Tournament prep for South Coast Autumn coming up in 71 days.
71 days.
Well prepared, but yeah.
I am so psyched about this event. Like, you guys did an outrageously good job running South Coast Summer, and we're just ready. Like, I'm just super excited. Like, this is going to be awesome fun. Ben, we need to look and see what's around in Southampton, like, so we can like go to dinner or something.
Yeah, although it's not really Southampton. That's the thing.
It's
It's Hedge End, so it's like between Southampton and Fareham, and like there is fast food options in Hedge End, but in terms of restaurants, you're kind of out of luck.
There's got to be a TGI Fridays or something. Maybe not.
No.
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 Oh well, never mind. We'll find it. We'll find something.
Yeah.
No, real quick. But Milton, you've been doing some absolutely awesome stuff prepping for the tournament. Like, thank you so much. I know you've just kind of gone, I need to fix this for you, Ben. And you've absolutely crushed it. It's awesome. I'm super
it's been good fun. It's been good fun. Well, yeah, hopefully it pays off and like we have a smooth, awesome tournament.
And I've actually done some hobby. Like, I'm trying this new thing where I focus on well-being to maintain my health. So like, I'm actually going to club, or I'm going and doing some painting, and I'm going for a walk every day, and it is starting to make me feel really good. So hobby-wise, I put together the Renegades team for the next Bonehead Championship and primed it and painted skin. I've gone with a blue orc.
Okay.
But I need your guys' input on this one. So the team is the Seanbad Serpents, because the name Seanbad makes me happy, because Sean in German is good and bad in English is bad. So they're the good bad serpents. And the Fanath snake dude. I was like, oh, I could actually use him. But I don't know whether to use the snake dude as the Skaven in the team, or the Dark Elf. For now, I'm using him as the Dark Elf because I feel like with Edge 2 plus the Dark Elf is a little bit more of the kind of the quarterback, kind of the star player of Renegades.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, so I feel like using him for the Dark Elf is going to be okay.
Also, like snakes and rats, kind of see them as polar opposites. I think he definitely fits the Dark Elf.
Oh, good. As long as that.
I think you have like a more like sort of hunched, crouched one. That'll be a good escape.
Well, it's been a really fun team to put together because I've 3D printed it from a mix of stuff. So I've got Torchlight Corn Lineman, I've got Brute Fun Minotaur, I've got our Ogre, the Bonehead Podcast Ogre. I've got the Punga Rat Ogre. I printed another one and mirrored it, so it's the opposite way to the Rat Ogre from last time. And I've gone with a Punga Underworld Gutter Runner for the Skaven.
Mm-hmm.
I went with the Brute Fun High Elf as the Dark Elf, but now I've removed him and replaced him with the Fanat Snake Man. I've got a Torchlight Goblin as the Goblin and a Torchlight Orc as the Orc. So it's just like this absolute mix of players. And I'm like, it's just brilliant. Like I can't wait to start jamming some games when we start recording towards the end of the year. And I'm not going to paint them green and brown and yellow. I'm going bright mood green and Emperor's Children pink.
Ooh,
wow.
Yeah, so if you guys saw any of my my Chaos Renegades team when I did the BB3 beta, that's the style I'm going with. So it's going to be pink and green stripes. I'm looking forward to making this as bright and flamboyant as possible.
That's amazing. That's proper chaos.
Yeah,
that's old school chaos, isn't it?
It is.
Like,
yeah. So that's cool. I've been doing that, and then I've printed a bunch of leaf bases for a team that I'm not allowed to show off yet. But I've primed it. In fact, I filmed a product review of it, but the company's like, "Oh, hold on. We can't release that one yet." But that's pretty cool. There's some gnarly big dudes in that team, and I'm proper excited about it. So I'm hoping to actually paint it before the team is released, so I can be like, and this is what it looks like when an average painter paints things. So yeah, it's been good. It was good. I spent like an hour doing that, and then I actually went to club. Like, I feel like I'm starting to get back into like life. It's awesome. And I played a game of Blood Bowl in the league, and it was a great game. And it was against Sam Frenzy Garner, who is just such a good lad. And it was so nice to see everybody at club and get a game in. And it was a good game, right? Okay. Black Orcs. I'm running the Black Mountain Bucks. Yep. And it was against Sam Frenzy Garner's team. And I mean, Milton, new Khorne versus Black Orcs. What would your angle be?
Interesting. I think if the Khorne can knock the goblins out, then it's probably easily Khorne's game. But you've got to be careful with the frenzy because you're trapping yourself into a lot of high strength there. And with I've just completely blanked. What's the skill that Black Orcs start with?
Grab.
Grab. Oh, yeah, okay. The grab's kind of interesting as well because it kind of means you can maneuver the Khorne pieces out of their sort of like frenzy assists and stuff. I would actually say that's a pretty good matchup.
It was, but Sam went with the non-big guy build. So the Red Crusaders with a KH didn't have the big guy. So he's got two rerolls and a big lineup of everybody else. So you have 2 Khorne Gores and 4 Seekers, 2 rerolls and dudes. So going into the match, I was kind of like, I went with the Troll 6 2 rerolls. I went, full strength, and I won the kickoff, and I chose to receive. I was like, right, okay, I'm going to play out of type here, And I was like, right, well, I've got 6 Brawler Grab on the line and a Troll. Like, he's going to have to deploy some guys. There's a good chance that I can actually, maybe outmuscle the first half. And it worked. Like, opened up, injured a dude, and just was able to just farm those blocks against his guys. And without the big guy, strength 4 kind of means nothing against another team of strength 4. So it was a lot of those where, because of the way like you can kind of use that grab to reposition, it meant that I kind of was able to stop Sam from having very many profitable frenzy blocks, and he did an outrageously good job of positioning his guys. And because I kept setting frenzy traps. I was like, right, I'm going to deploy this way, and then if you knock and don't and just get pushes, you're going to go into a bad block situation. And he saw it basically every single time. So I didn't manage to frenzy bait him, but I did score 2 touchdowns, which is cool. I had no major casualties. I had one goblin got badly injured. So Barflog the Brave got a touchdown, as did Grot Brady.
Oh, what skill did Grot Brady get, Ben?
Grot Brady got the MVP, and I was sat with Ben because we only have Bens in our friend group. And I was like, oh, I've got to do it. Took a random, and he got pro. So Grot Brady now has pro in the team, and I'm actually quite excited to use it. It's not the best skill, but certainly not the worst. Not by a long shot.
No.
I was really hoping for block or wrestle or sure hands or kick. I was like, all right, I've got good odds of having a really nice skill. Tackle would be good too. Pro is probably what I would say was 6th pick. And you know what? That's top half. So
even sneaky git's not terrible, is it?
Dirty player would have been.
Oh, is that the general one?
Yeah. Dirty player would have been good. Shadowing is terrible, as we saw in the Bonehead Championship. Poor trumpets.
I think shadowing exists just to make a random roll
risky.
Yeah. I think a few skills are like that.
Yeah, Frenzy would have been hilarious. I would have been very up for that, because then I could have just focused on getting the Black Orcs guard and just having Grot Brady just like 4-die block people, because that would have been amazing.
True muscle of the team.
Yeah, so I think I'm just going to continue the strategy of giving the goblins random generals as soon as I can.
All play makes randoms just stupid tempting.
It really is. I actually did this correct this time. I bought 4 dedicated fans, so I started with 5 DF, which meant I farmed 70k off the first match. And because I had DF, I actually had petty cash, so I was able to buy a keg, which came in handy because both my KO rolls after the first half were 3s. And I was like, that makes a difference.
Paid off.
Yeah, hugely. So it was an awesome game against Sam, and a win for the Black Mountain Bucks.
I'm going to throw out my lead.
I'm 9th. You're first. So you got 4 wins, and I'm there in 9th place out of 23 teams at the moment. So I've got a few wins to catch up with you. Now, so, but I really hope I get to play you in the semis somehow. Maybe it'll be like 1 versus 4 or something, if I can get there.
That will be the time where I can finally win a game against you, because the Bonehead Championships are not the place for that.
Maybe I'll even be up. Can I take Hackflim? You can't take Hackflim with Black Orcs, can you?
No.
That's stupid. That's absolutely stupid.
I'm doing a Hackflimless league run as well, by the way. So
you don't get to take Hackflim with Skaven.
I'm refusing. I'm earning my wins.
You don't need to take him with Skaven.
You don't need to? Okay. Yeah. I've had loads of inducements, dude. My team keep dying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I throw my Skaven away. I do not. That's why I'm enjoying them. I'm playing them like elves, but every time I play elves, I like pay for it. And I'm always just like, right, after game 2, I am bankrupt and I can't do anything. But Skaven, you're just like, oh, another game? I'll just buy 3 more players.
I really feel like you are accepting, like you are really becoming a real Skaven coach.
Yeah, it's quite I found my team.
Yeah, it's pretty wicked. Yeah. You had a game as well, didn't you, Ben?
Yeah, I did. I played against Ben Davey, his Lizardman team. And yeah, it was really game. Yeah, his team is playing so well. Yeah, no, it was a really good game actually. I got very lucky in the first half. I did swarm down the end of his pitch, which you do with Skaven. I sent both my cutters down, tried to swarm his chameleon skink before that happened, but he managed to break through. He got the ball to a skink on the sideline. However, my rat ogre, unassisted blitz, just went straight for him, surfed the poor guy, killed him. I don't think he actually killed him, but injured him. And the ball went straight back the other end, and my gutter runner picked it up and scored. So it was just like I felt really bad. And kind of with Skaven, I find particularly you snowball really fast. It only takes like one gutter to get their defensive touchdown, and find it really starts swinging in your favor. So it ended up being, I think, 3-0. But then he managed to score 1 touchdown, and then on the second, it was pretty much we were farming SPP. And I said, get another touchdown, because I'd rather focus on the block. I'm not going to deny 10k. So it was good. It ended up being 3-2, which was pretty good. A lot of cash.
Yeah, Janquil, your rat ogre got a couple of casualties, which is nice.
Yeah, leveled him up. He's got Juggernaut now, which is great on a Frenzy Roger.
Yep, like Jugs for a Roger in this team, in Skaven.
Yep. I got another random passing, my 3rd random passing on my thrower.
I wanted to talk about this. Yeah, Swivel Gun Blaster, your thrower.
He's modeled with a cannon, and I'm still regretting not saving up for for the primary, and just picking Cannoneer, because it's the one time it really makes sense. However, I went random passing on him because I'm trying to build him. I was thinking, well, if he gets accurate, I'll build him to a close range thrower. If he gets like Cannoneer, I'll get a long range thrower. And then we got Fumblerooski, which I'm yet to use. He got On the Ball, which was actually fantastic.
On the Ball is excellent.
Yeah, that was really good. Now he has Cloudburster. So now I really do want him to have Cannoneer, because Cloudburster is only really useful, I think, if you have Cannoneer. I did make a long pass in that game, which is still only a 4+.
Oh,
but,
yeah. I thought you had Cannoneer when I saw it. Now you've brought to my attention that it's Cloudburster. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, so those long bombs I'm doing can't be intercepted as easily. You
only need 6 SPP for him to be able to actually choose a skill now. So just...
No, because it's reset, right?
No.
Isn't it choosing a skill now like
8?
Oh, is it 8?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 2 touchdowns with him.
No. You're right. It's 8 skill for another random. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You need to score... Yeah, you need to get 14 SPP to choose... Oh, man. That is brutal. So how many SPP has he actually used already? 15?
Yeah.
3,
he's level 4.
7, 12... Maybe, wow, that's just...
Hey, I'm running out of passing skills to get, so I'll eventually get a good one.
Oh, man, that is so good. That is so good. No, it's cool to see these teams coming together, and Torpay is a really cool place to see it. Right, guys. Milton, have you got any games to talk about?
No, sadly, I've not managed to achieve playing anything.
We need to get some Fumble on the go, I think.
Yeah, we were discussing that, weren't we?
Yeah,
I'm definitely looking into that.
I really do want to get some Fumble games on the go. Mostly so I can film Fumble Friday, because I think that would be funny. Anyway, they'll take a quick break and actually talk about our topics. Okay, we're back. Sorry, it's been a very chatty podcast today. We've ended up just having a chat in between segments about 3D printer quality and stuff like this. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about our next tournament in detail. We're going to look at the rules back, look at the when, and you know, like we said, I think half the tickets have gone now. We've got over 2 months to go, but we really want to fill it out because we've got sweet loot. We've taken on board what you guys said about the last tournament. We've got dice already here from Moko with custom logos, and they are probably the tastiest looking dice I've ever seen.
They do look like strawberry candy.
They look like candy. It's a bit of a worry, but this is going to be. I'm really excited because it's in Southampton, which is like, I don't know. This is a lot closer to
home turf.
Yeah, to all of us.
Home stadium.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it feels like that. Yeah.
This is a home game for us, essentially. So I guess that's a good place to start. this is part of the South Coast series, and the South Coast series is a bunch of tournament events that are being run by Entoyment. I'm now going to say around the country, probably along the South Coast is a better way of saying it. So Beachhead is like the first one, which is at the Bic. Then there's South Coast Summer, which is at the Bic in July, and then we've got South Coast Autumn, which is at the Rose Bowl. Is it the Rose Bowl? The
GS Bowl.
The GS Bowl.
Used to be the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, in Southampton. So this is this is a wargaming event at a sports venue. This is a Blood Bowl event at a sports venue, and I'm like, it's Blood Bowl's coming home. Like, that's just how it feels. So yeah, we got a great venue for this one, and we are running it out, and we're going to go for the standard kind of 2 days, but not really 2-day format. So, I mean, Ben, talk us through the way we're doing our tournament structure when it comes to the days and stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be doing 11s on the Saturday. So 3 games of 11s from, I think, 9 till 5 is usually what we go, 9:30 till 5-ish. And then on the Sunday, we're going to be doing 7s. And so there will be an overall winner for 11s, an overall winner for 7s, and then there will be an overall winner for the 2 days combined. So if you do 2 days, there is another chance to take the win.
Yeah.
That's basically it. 7s will be a bit shorter. Are we doing 4 games of 7s?
Yeah, 4 games of 7s.
Yeah.
4 games of 7s. So the whole idea of this is that we as players don't get an opportunity to go like this. It's harder to organize yourself to be able to go away for a 2-dayer. Like, it's a ton of fun, but sometimes with just real life, it can be really challenging. So for me, it's always been challenging to get away for tournament weekends, just because of historically my work schedule and now my wife's work schedule. Like, this case of she works now every other weekend, so it's kind of every other weekend I am free as a bird. But on the other weekend, I don't want to give up time with Tiff, not unless, you know, something really special is going on, like I think this tournament. Which means if there's a tournament on either side of it, I can go to it. But, you know, and actually if you've got kids, if you've got families and stuff like that, being able to just come to the Saturday or the Sunday, whichever works for you. If you're only interested in 7s, you can come to the Sunday. If you're only interested in 11s, you can come to just the Saturday. But if you want to do a 2-dayer with a bunch of friends, you can come down to both. Do the Saturday and then go into the Sundays. You know, I feel like it's a really good hybrid approach. And, you know, our goal here at the podcast is just to make Blood Bowl as accessible as possible. Like, that's why, generally speaking, we keep the podcast family friendly, so that you can listen to it in the car with your kids. You know, so that there is that boundary of just, this is a great game with great players, and actually we want to make it as accessible to as many people as we can. And I think Milton pointed that out earlier in the hobby section, didn't you? In the 2-hour-long hobby section, Milton, about us just wanting more people to play Blood Bowl.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about the community.
And it is a heck of a community. So, South Coast Series, Autumn, October, which I'm really looking forward to because it might not be 30 degrees. That would be good.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Imagine that. Imagine it not being moist. Would be nice. So
when's the World Cup?
Next year.
Yeah, but when? What month?
September.
Okay, it won't be too bad.
In
then.
fact,
it's Alicante. It's going to be pretty hot regardless.
If we go to the end of this rulebook, where's the end button on this keyboard? No, it doesn't work. That's aggravating. You know what? I'm skipping ahead. We won't. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk through the event, talk through the format, talk through some kind of ideas on brews, on lists and things, because this is a really cool way to start thinking about the meta. And that's kind of how I'm going to circle around to the meta on this one. So South Coast Saturday will be 9:30 registration, 10 o'clock first match, 12:15 till 1300, 45-minute lunch break. Then you've got 2.25 hours for match 2. Then 3:30 is match 3, and then 6 o'clock is awards. So we've taken the beachhead timings. We've added an extra at least 15 minutes in between the rounds to make sure that there's easier way for you to go and go to the toilet, go get a beer, go get some grub or whatever. And that's even if your match takes the entire time, right? We want to make sure that you as players have got that ability to just okay, you know what? I've got 10 minutes. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go grab a bite to eat. I'm going to go talk about the round, because the worst thing sometimes is when you go straight from one round, and what you really want to do is spend 7 to 12 minutes just complaining with your friends, right, about the game.
How unfair your dice rolling has been.
It's just such a thing. Like, it was so good being back at club on Tuesday, and after my game, all I wanted to do was talk to you guys about the game. Like, I think that's a really underrated part of the tournament.
Yeah,
definitely.
Always good fun.
And it comes back around to this community thing, doesn't it? Like, everyone's there and everyone's passionate about the game. We all know how fickle it can be as well. So when you had either like a fantastic run or a really like unjust one, that's when you're most passionate about it.
Exactly. And us as TOs gives us a little bit more time to make sure everything goes smoothly. But also something I absolutely really loved doing at Beachhead was catching people as they finished their rounds. Like, oh yeah, handed him a score sheet. Oh, how'd you get on? Like, how was the game? And actually, you get a couple of minutes to spend actually talking to people, which is just sweet. So that is the schedule on the Saturday. So 3 11s games, or Sunday 4 7s games. Now 10 o'clock registration, so a little bit later start. 10:30 match 1, 11:30 match 2, 12:30 lunch, 1:30 match 2 again apparently, but that will probably be match 3, 2:30 match 4, and then 3:30 awards. So 7s is my absolute favourite way to play Blood Bowl, but I mean, Milton, it's a much more chilled vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's games are smaller, doesn't take as much out of you, although like that 4 match kind of like does bring it to the same degree of like tournament sort of like
you play the same amount of turns.
Yeah. But it is way more relaxed. You've got like there's less going, there's as much Blood Bowl in it, but there's less to sort of like spread your attention. It's very concentrated Blood Bowl, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like on the Saturday it's 3 pints, or on the Sunday it's 4 shots. You're gonna end up just as unwell. So the Saturday and the Sunday, we're going to start. First round's going to be randomly paired, and then it's going to be Swiss the whole way through. And for both events, there's going to be overall champion for the day. There's stunted champion, tier 3 teams only. That's actual tier 3 teams. Best team award, the best mascot award, but we'll come back to that in a minute. The participation trophy for last place, most touchdowns, most casualties, and dirty player award. And standard things apply, like what to bring your team that's clearly marked and identifiable. Doesn't need to be painted, looks better if it is, but don't worry too much. As long as your models are like numbered or people can clearly see what's what, you're good to go. 2 copies of your roster if you can. If you need us to provide a roster, then do let us know. Like, we're on standby to do that, because quite frankly these days more people have got 3D printers than printers. So, which I think is quite funny. Ben, have you got a printer?
Yeah, it's not plugged in though.
There you go. Does it have ink?
No, God, no.
There you go. So yeah, more resin printers in this group than actual Epsons. And your dice and pitches, please, as well. We've got 20 spare pitches, but if you can bring one, it would be much, much better. Might have to do something for 7's pitches, but I've got a cunning plan for that. We've got time. All right, it's fine. Anything on that we want to go into detail for, or should we skip to the mascot rules?
Let's talk about mascots.
All right. So this one is legitimately entirely sponsored by Milton because of your horse head dude.
So I can't take entire credit for that.
I don't know. You kind of raised mascots as being a great thing. And, I mean, tell us what you did and why you did it.
Yeah, so here on the Isle of Wight Blood Bowl League, the guy that runs it, Nick, allows you to take a mascot inducement for free. Well, it's not for free. It obviously counts your team value, but you can take it as part of the rule set for the league. And so I didn't realize this, and like I played my first game, and my opponent had a mascot, and it played enormously in his favor. So I'm running Chaos in that league, and I was like, right, what am I going to do for a mascot? I need to get this reroll in, because this reroll is great. So I'm looking through my bits box, and I've got a human thrower, and I've got a few Chaos Knight bits. And so what I've done is I've lopped the head off the human thrower and stuck a horse head on it, like he's wearing a, you know how you get those mascots with the heads on. I've given him a tentacle arm out of a green stuff roller, and he's carrying a flag. He's pretty cool. I need to finish him up. He's on par with my Space
Brother
Marine brother Zook, who is also as ridiculous but so much fun. And I think that's like a massive part of the hobby, isn't it? So
it was so good to see like the effort that you put into it, and it's just such a cool bit that tied with the fact that this event is actually happening in a sports like stadium. It really seemed like, okay, we've got an opportunity here. So the tournament special rule, and this is for both days, so 7s and 11s. And as this event is taking place in a famous sports venue, we thought we'd get into the spirit of this. So, inducement, South Coast mascot. Each team may have a South Coast mascot at no cost. South Coast mascots must be represented by a painted mascot miniature. Once per game, you may use the South Coast mascot to provide your team with an extra reroll. This effect is immediate and can be done at any point. The normal rules for team rerolls apply. So basically, you get one reroll to use across the whole game. Okay. So either first half, second half. It's Borak rules at this point. Okay. I kind of wanted to write that, but I didn't know if people would understand. Now, tied into that, we're going to have a best mascot award for each day. So on each day, the tournament organisers, which will be us, will select a best mascot winner. So make them look cool. And we're going to basically have a look at the teams on the day. It's going to be, it's not like, I just think it's a great opportunity for people to be creative. And we, as a collective TO band, are going to choose the winner. Now, it's not the same as the best team award. So best team award will work like it always does. But this is something extra that you get a reroll across the entire game. So half a reroll, basically. And there's going to be a little prize there if you do something really, really, really sweet. Now, I think this is a great little add-on, a great little tournament gimmick that kind of you can grab a player from another one of your teams if you want to. Like, there you go, my mascot's my wood elf. There you go, I'm covered. Yes, you are covered. Or you could do what Milton did and just break 2 models and create something unique and special. So from a hobby point of view, it's a really cool angle, right? But from a roster building point of view, I like this little tweak because it opens up a few opportunities because it gives you half a reroll, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's huge.
It makes leader less of a must pick. That's for sure. I'd consider twice about taking leader as the extra reroll if I had a mascot.
Or you could maybe come up with a roster with both.
You could indeed. So
take it away, Milton.
Yeah, no. So I was I've had this brewing in the back of my head for a little while because I think we're talking about giants, and I saw some amazing giant teams at South Coast Summer, and that really inspired me to get on the giant. And I was looking about how I could incorporate giants into my favorite team, the Orcs. So I was brewing up a roster, and I've come up with a 3 goblin, 4 blitzer, 5 linemen, mercenary giant, 1 reroll build. The thing about them is they're T2 now, so I've got a double, so I can take leader on one of the blitzers, and if I bring a mascot, that brings me up to 3 rerolls, right? So that's a 12 player.
2.5, but yeah.
Well, yeah, 2.5. So it's a 12 player team with a giant and 2.5 rerolls with another 5 skills to spare.
I think that's awesome. So let's have a quick look at the build rules for this event before we go and look at the scoring and stuff like that. Eligible teams. All standard teams are eligible. Teams of Legend are eligible. And the Spike magazine teams were eligible, as well as the Slan roster. Now, Amazons are going to land. And I think the fair thing to do, guys, is what we did with the Norse team, which is allow both for this event. Like the old roster and the new roster. because there are going to be people who've planned to bring the old roster, and I just don't want to. It just seems fair enough, I think. New releases, stuff that comes out, will all go in. Team value, 1.1 million. Now, our tournaments tend to be on the lower end. Okay, there are other events that are 1,200, 1,250. Actually, we want our tournaments to represent game 5 or 6 of a league. It's a good way to get 3 games in with a team to see if you're going to like the team, but also I think it's just a nice tight skill set. And star players, you can have star players after your 11 standard players, etc. Inducements, star players as normal. No wizards and no fun. No mercenaries, with the exception of the giant mercenary, which could be included for 350k. Don't forget your South Coast mascot as well. Additional skills. Here we go. This is what Milton was talking about. So tier 1, 5 primaries. No doubles. No leader farming if you're taking a tier 1 team. Tier 2, 4 primaries and 2 secondaries. So Milton, you spent your double on leader on what player?
I'm just going to take it on a blitzer, mostly because they tend to have reasonably decent survivability, but also because I wanted to put block on all the linemen.
That's fair enough. And tier 3 teams get 5 primary and 2 secondary. So in that kind of rule, I feel like tier 2 are probably the best off. Tier 3 getting an extra skill is great fun. And definitely, if you compared to tier 1, if you want to take goblins or snotlings and that, you're getting 2 doubles that you can just chuck on. So that's block on both your trolls for a goblin team. Or I don't know, what would I put doubles? This is it. Snotlings don't really need doubles. They don't really want them.
Yeah, they don't really care.
They don't care. No. Because their bombardiers actually just get accurate. Oh, man. Oh, I love snotlings. Anyway, no player may receive more than 1 skill. A primary skill may be chosen instead of a secondary. So there you go, you snotling madman. You can have 7 normal skills. Star players can't be given skills. Don't ask. It's just not okay. And then team tiers. Amazon, Chaos Dwarf, Dark Elf, Dwarf, High Elf, Lisbon, Norse, Undead, Skaven, Underworld, and Wood Elf are tier 1 as per the FAQ. Tier 2, Black Orc, Chaos Chosen, Chaos Renegade, Elven Union, Human, Imperial Nobility, Khorne, Necromantic, Nurgle, Orc, Old World Alliance, Tomb Kings, Vampire, Slan. And then tier 3 are the proper tier 3 ones. Goblins, Halflings, Ogres, and Snotlings. So Milton has taken a tier 2 team that he loves and just brewed up something that's completely out of left field. How many goblins in that roster?
3.
I like it. I love it. So, okay, you've taken an archetype and a giant, and with the mascot has freed up that extra cash to get that reroll.
Yep.
Which just it's I think it's a really good little balancing point. So even though your roster is 1100, it's kind of 1150 with that extra kind of mascot reroll in there, basically.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm really curious to see how people use that to their advantage, as in kind of in a similar way to the thought pattern that I was having, where I'm like, well, actually, what I can do is I can pretty much spend all my money on like cool positionals or doing something funny like taking a giant, because where I would normally be reliant on rerolls for picking up the ball, because that's pretty much all I use it for on orcs, like I don't have to worry about those because I've got them in the bag. I've got that through leader. I've got that. And okay, there's a degree of like reliability. Obviously my blitzer could go out turn 1.
Might not work.
But armor 10 plus with block is it's not bad.
We saw goblins do excellently at South Coast Summer. We saw some teams that you might not usually expect to do so well. That was partially to do with the meta shift. I think there's a degree of like the package and obviously the players and stuff, but I thought that was really interesting, and we saw some absolutely amazing like compositions of teams, and I think we're going to see that again with this. So that having that mascot frees up you maybe to like take 1 reroll less and put that money somewhere else.
I like this, and I think you see this with our skills packages in our tournaments, because actually it was similar in Dorset Dungeon Bowl, right, where we gave an extra reroll to the Dungeon Bowl teams, so we kept the builds a little bit lower, because I think the more cash you have, the more access you have to star players for tier 2 and tier 1 teams, and I think we don't tend to see star players be dominant in our tournaments, because actually Hackflem with Snotlings just kind of makes them competitive. right? Now, goblins with bomber, different. I like this. This is interesting. A definite meta shift with goblins on the rise. But 1100, it's hard to fit a tier 1 or a tier 2 team with a game-winning or game-changing star player. But what it does do is make that roster more flexible. So from team-wise, I mean, I'm looking at this roster, I'm looking at this list, and I'm just thinking, yeah, I mean, you've got giants, which you can fit into any of the tier 3 teams. Goblins are looking really good right now, and having 7 skills to be able to take across your team is pretty tasty. High elves are still riding high. It's a great time to get Amazons out and about before they get changed up a bit. I mean, BT, I don't know who's actually going to be odd man out this time for the TO team, but
I think it's probably come back round to me. I'm happy to do it, but I don't want to deprive Milton of his 12 orc giant roster. So.
Oh no! You definitely go play odd man out. What would you play?
I'd actually be probably taking Amazons, not just because I'm painting them, but because I really it'll be nice to get on like the cutting edge of the tournament roster. I know October's a little bit away, but it'll be fun to see them in that, or at least take the old roster and then see how that pairs with some of the newer stuff. So I mean, old Amazons are a bit boring though, so I'm hoping they're interesting because I wouldn't want to take old Amazons in the tournament. I think it's pretty gross. But yeah,
old Amazons at 1100, they can get absolutely everything you want to buy. There's no star players, I think, that really makes an impact without having to give up a chunk of the change. I mean, 5 primaries is not a huge amount where you can't stack them. That's guard times 4 and then block on a guy.
God, I hate Amazons so much. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say.
So too bad you've done a wonderful paint job, eh?
Yeah. Hey, we don't know what the new roster's going to look like, and I mean,
yeah,
realistically,
I hope it's better.
Even if they go on sale, if we get the flag this Sunday, that's 1 week. Pre-order, that's 2 weeks. We've got 10 weeks to go, so they're going to land with, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks prior to the tournament coming out. So it may be that actually we do see a huge chunk of Amazons, and this is what I wanted to raise the question about. When it comes to our events, actually when it comes to Blood Bowl in general, the meta doesn't, because we've got that dearth of teams, there never really feels like there's a massive bonus to reading the meta, which I think is amazing in Blood Bowl, because when it comes to Magic or Warhammer, you kind of go, ooh, it's looking like scissors is popular, time to take rock. And then you've got the people who double think and go, everyone's taking rock because they think scissors is popular, so time to slap them about with paper. Like, it's just a thing, right? And you always hear about it in competitive gaming. If you want to win at this event, are you taking dwarves and are you spamming tackle with a different team to read that meta?
In what way do you think the meta?
Like, if you think about Amazons coming out soon,
right,
and the rise of goblins, is this the point in the cycle where tackle kind of comes back into being amazing?
I wouldn't mind seeing that. We never really see dwarves much at tournaments, so it would be interesting to see if you're right, if this is the thing that brings them back. And I kind of want that because I find Blood Bowl, I mean, we talked about it earlier, but I do find Blood Bowl misses that kind of meta that we have. So, or like we have in other games. So, yeah, it would be actually really interesting to see. I don't know. I think it's hard to say without seeing what the new Amazon roster is going to be like, but I would like to see new Amazon teams.
So, if we see a rise in tackle teams, Milton, what teams do you think would be the paper to that rock? Like, if you were going to a tournament expecting to see a lot of dwarf and tackle, what rosters would you be looking to take?
Orc.
Yeah. Orcs, Black Orcs, Chaos, maybe?
Yeah. I don't know. It's really interesting. So for South Coast Summer, we saw like a huge slant towards particular seasons. We had loads of goblins, we had loads of orcs, we had loads of Black Orc teams, and we had some like with zero representation whatsoever. There were no ogres, there was no necromantic. Is that right?
Oh, I think you might be right, actually. Yeah.
yeah, so like that was really strange. And I will say, like, we have rosters in already for our South Coast Autumn, which is amazing. And I won't say what they are. I won't say who submitted them or what the teams are. I'm not going to give the game away here. But yeah, like I'm already kind of starting to see a change in the pattern, and I don't know whether that's because it's the kind of the sort of the local communities just trying something else, or whether or not like, oh well, everyone's used Bomber now, so we're not going to do that anymore.
This is the thing I love about Blood Bowl is that, quite frankly, the competitive edge you get from the meta is really minimal because there's so much variety that you can be like, I'm going to go tackle heavy, and you just may not get to use it at all. And that's actually something that I really love about this. Is there are going to be players that are like, cool, I'm going to go to a tournament. What team haven't I used at a tournament? You know what? Black Orcs look fun. Imperial Nobility look fun. Let's take a challenge. Let's go Vampires. Let's go Tomb Kings. Like, High Elves are winning. Great. Let's print a team and run High Elves or Slan. And there's so much of that. I'm going to do something different. This is my opportunity to paint a team up for a tournament or do something different for a tournament, that I am so elated that the meta isn't a visceral thing here. We see trends in popularity in star players or team types based on builds, but I don't think, probably because of the pool of players, and I think you see it in 40k stuff and Magic the Gathering, right? But that's because the meta kind of only exists at the top end, whereas in Blood Bowl, the player pools, even if our tournament's going to be 60, 70, 80 players, over 3 games, the top end doesn't filter out to the point where there is a sub-meta, which means you can be paired against an absolute madman with orcs and a giant, right? And it's just...
who'd do that?
It's just amazing. Like, I absolutely love it. Because there are going to be, up to... there's going to be like 80 teams at this event. And there's only going to be like 4 or 5 teams that are duplicated, really, which is just absolutely like awesome. So, talking about the tournament and winning and top ends and stuff like that, probably talk about a couple of bits. Tournament scoring, we're going to use our standard scoring system, which is 30 points for a win, 10 points for a draw, 0 points for a loss, a bonus point per touchdown up to 3, a bonus point per casualty up to 3, and a bonus point for perfect defense, which is letting no touchdowns in. So that point there is to allow the slower, more defensive teams to actually not conceding a touchdown is the same as scoring a touchdown. So a 1-0 win is going to score you the same amount of points as if you'd scored 2 touchdowns, basically, and let 1 in. So it kind of allows that defensive play to be really beneficial. Casualties. I need to change the ruling on this word pack, don't I? Because you guys have come up with a better worded way of saying it. Is that right?
I don't know if it's better. I think it's just over-engineered.
Yeah, I think I've just become obsessed with it.
You let 2 software engineers have a say.
Yeah.
All casualties done by your players to their players.
Now you're asking.
Basically, casualties you do, but not dodging doesn't count.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So if you foul a dude or kill a dude by chucking a player at him, or
push him out into the pitch, yeah.
Then
if they get casualtied as a result of something your players did,
I got it. All casualties inflicted to the opposing team by your players count. This includes block results, fouls, crowd surfs, being hit by thrown players, and secret weapons. There you go.
Beautiful. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. So that's the core bit. There is also going to be a best team award. We do this every single time. There's going to be a slip given out at the beginning of the day, and lunchtime we're going to ask people to display their teams so that you can go around and pick your choice for best team on each of the 2 days. So it's just a really fun way of doing it and kind of pimping out the hobby. Hopefully we'll get time to go around and take photos of them, and I'm going to bring the spinny wheel as well. See if we can get some spinny wheel shots. So that's going to be Saturday, and then on to the Sunday, 4 games of 7s, which is in every single way the best way to play Blood Bowl. Same score, slightly different scoring, 20 points for a win. Everything else is the same. So 7s tends to be a little bit more close, but where you've got 4 games it allows it to kind of the pack to work its way out by being a little bit tighter, because the points are going to be added for both days to determine the overall weekend winners. So it's a good way to balance out. This is a NAF sanctioned event. They are both NAF sanctioned. And then it's probably best to talk about the build for sevens, which is going to be 600k star players. No. Blood Bowl sevens. So you've got the standard bit that players who are not linemen are 0 to 4, which is what you expect. It's all in the death zone, and it's basically how sevens has been run now for years. Inducements, very limited. But again, see the death zone rulebook. And skills. This is the fun bit of sevens. Tier 1, 2 primary. Tier 2, 2 primary and a secondary. And Tier 3, 2 primary and 2 secondary skills. So primary can be swapped for secondary, and no stacking on your players. Team tiers are exactly the same as standard Blood Bowl. Then this build 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. What are you taking for sevens? You can't say Amazons because you already picked.
Good. I really want to try Khemri in sevens. And I know you've done this, but did you do this with mixed?
No, we did this in Secret Sevens where we used
Oh,
Milton's almost Khemri team.
Yeah, I just want to try it with just 4 Tomb Guardians sevens team and just like not move. But like, I just think that would be so much fun. So we did the Tree Man team in sevens, and I imagine it'll basically be like that, but with a little bit more mobility and some better linemen.
That's interesting. What about you, Milton?
This is a hard one because I actually feel like in 2020, sevens is quite different, and like picking a team's quite different. Especially with the changes in the way we've seen although we were discussing this, weren't we, about this sort of like passing myth where everything feels bashy but might not actually be true. I'd love to give high elves a whirl. I'd like to pass. I feel like sevens is very quick and passing could be quite efficient.
Strong. Yeah, a good pass just wins you the game, I think.
I keep looking over the high elf roster, and I feel like I've just ignored them. I've just they're not a thing.
It's because they're in that rotation ambiguity zone, aren't they?
Yeah, and there's some great miniature ranges out there in order to support them. And I think you made your own, didn't you, out of the Elf Union?
Ben did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. With the old Boardmaster head.
The pointy hats. I love the pointy hats. That's what it was all about. I think the passing game's going to be great for sevens. I'm suspecting we will see teams with the capability to pass, like Skaven and those elf teams, definitely up there at the top. It's where I'd put my money.
I think I've got two kind of options on this one. I think Slan would be great fun to take. Tier 2, 2 primaries and a secondary actually gives you a ton of flexibility. Their rerolls are cheap and their linemen are excellent. They're just brilliant. They're underrated. Their catches are great, and you get a Croxigal. So actually, you got a pretty good lineup there. But
are the Slan linemen basically Skaven?
No, they're human.
They're human.
Human linemen with leap and very long legs.
Right. Okay. I can remember.
No, that's not true. With pogo stick and very long legs.
Pogo stick and very long legs.
Yeah.
Right.
So they got better armor than a Skaven lineman, but their movement 6, edge 3, and all of a sudden on a 3+, they can just be 2 squares away. It's awesome. And actually being able to take 3 skills is going to be really good because you can put block on the Crocs, and then you've got 2 catches again with dodge or something like that. It's movement 7, edge 2+ pieces. It's potent, like it's really good. But I like Renegade. I'm in a really Renegades mode at the moment, and I think 3 skills for Renegades, right? That's
pretty good actually.
That's stuff like the
2 head Scorbo for sure. That's really good.
2 head Scorbo straight away. Then you've got your choice of big guy, and it is a genuine choice of big guy here. You can run with the Roger and give him block only with your double, and because he's got that automatic skill with animal savagery where you will always get your blitz off as long as there's someone to murder, actually, you should fill your boots. Like, you don't have to go all three big guys. Positional's a bit of a struggle here. I think you kind of want Goblin, Dark Elf, Skaven, two of those, and then two big guys.
Goblin, Ogre, Rat Ogre, and then the Dark Elf. That's probably the ones I'd take.
Yeah, that's a pretty good lineup. But it just gives you that ability to just smash things. But hey, we've all seen what a straight up halfling roster can do in sevens. Like, they did very well in 7 Super Series, and the way they play not changed at all. So that's just, you know, them with 4 skills. That's 2 secondaries. That's 2 trees with so you kind of want to give them block, but I think they were only good when they got break tackle as well in the old one, but I don't think that works as good anymore, does it? No, it doesn't.
Not what it used to be.
Oh mate, no. break tackle trees were the shizzles in the sevens of old.
It's just +2 now, isn't it?
Yeah. So what they add 5, so it's 3+.
Yeah. It's just get a skill to make them dodge like a normal dude would.
It's just such a good thing to be like, okay, now I'm going to take my Edge 6 tree and walk into your cage and smush stuff. I know, it's pretty cool. OWA might be fun as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm still recoiling from my experience versus them in Sandbowl.
Really?
I think, yeah. Rob took, well, obviously you can't take stars in this, but this was 11s, but Rob took Zug, Deep Root, and a tree in the Sandbowl build. And it was just so difficult. But what it did was it made me realize that OWA are considerably more versatile than I ever gave them credit for, and it's definitely brought them up in my esteem.
Well,
so
I can see. I don't want to spoil anybody who hasn't seen the monthly meta yet, but last 2 periods they've been in the top 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think they dropped a spot this month down to 4. OWA, I think people are figuring them out, and I think that tier 2 buff, where they've gone down from tier 1 to tier 2, is getting access to a little bit more gold for an extra reroll, or a little bit more skill for just that extra boost, and they're becoming a good challenge team. You know, like
that's really interesting.
Yeah. We should probably should do a power rankings again at some point on the show, because it's been really fun tracking like the last few months of Blood Bowl, competitive Blood Bowl. Slan are in the top 10, so yeah, I don't care about anything else. That's everything to me. Goblins are coming up the league. It's brilliant. It's great to see. Okay, so we talked through the days, we talked through the builds. You do get your mascot for 7s as well, so that's going to help a little bit. It's 1 extra reroll across the entire game, which means you're going to use it in turn 1. But you know, that's fine. It's 7s. If you lose the game in 35 minutes, you go grab a cup of tea because you'll be playing another one shortly after. And then the last page of the rulebook has got our 2023 roster of tournaments. And there's a couple of them which are TBC at the moment, but this is where we're looking to host tournaments, and one we're planning on going to. So Beachhead will be Saturday 11s, Sunday 7s, like this format, in February at the Bic. Then in May, we're going to have Dorset Dungeon Bowl at Entoyment. Then South Coast Summer, we'll probably do Saturday, Sunday, 11/7s again at the Bic. Then in September, some of us are planning on being in Alicante, Spain for the World Cup. I'm going. Ben's going.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going.
My wife's going. Alison coming?
I don't think so.
What?
It's work in progress.
All right, I need to get Tiff to
Tiff needs to help with that.
Yeah. I believe me, I think Tiff will help with that.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Milton, I don't think you're coming, are you, because of that?
Well, tentative. I don't know. We do have like quite a big holiday in May, so that is much earlier in the year. Yeah, I might.
You're in Europe anyway, so it's not far for you.
No. Yeah, just a swim, isn't it?
Yeah, you were at the seaside the other day.
Day trip in the yacht.
Just pop across to Alicante.
Yeah. No, it's very tempting. It is very tempting.
Well, it's going to be a riotous party. And then October, we're planning on doing South Coast Winter again. Same format as this. And then November, we'll have Bonehead Bowl. So we've got 8 tournaments that we're planning on hosting next year. We've got 3 left this year. And I don't know, I think it's really, Blood Bowl, it feels genuinely back. Now, we've had a really good chatty podcast, so we've overrun a bit. So we're going to leave our tournament gimmick thing for another episode. And actually, it means we can do a better job prepping for it. And sort of like, here's some example tournaments, here's some differences, here's what we like, here's what we think could be better. Here's what we think is baffling, which I think would be a pretty good one as well. So I guess, guys, we should probably wrap up now. Is there anything you wanted to mention when it comes to South Coast Autumn, or do you think we're done?
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in coming, go to the website, and everyone that has already bought a ticket, we're very excited to see you there. It's going to be awesome.
And the event info is also in the Discord. So if you do join the Discord now, we've got that as an event in there with a link to all the important documents. So.
Good job, guys. We can't guarantee it about streaming the games live, but this week we did a first trial of stuff. I mean, Ben, we've streamed Seven's games live already, no problem at all. 11's is slightly different. I'm really happy with the camera layout that we set up on Tuesday. I just screwed up the recording element of it. What I tried to do didn't work, so we only got one factor. But actually, I am confident that by October, we'll have the technological capacity to do it. Whether or not we want to do it on the day or not, I don't know. I don't want to commit to it, but we are gunning for this because I was benched in Italy. I mean, that's probably not fair to say I was benched. And all I wanted to do, other than spend my honeymoon with my wife, having a lovely holiday, was
all you wanted.
I was by the pool, right? I was by the pool, and I took a series of choose your own adventure books, which was amazing. So we're at this poolside resort, and there's like everyone's in their 60s and 70s and having a lovely holiday. All there's like young families like playing catch in the pool. Tiff's reading very elegant women books, and I'm just there like Warlock of Firetop Mountain, like going, "Oh, I died again!" Like just being a proper adult by the pool. But really, what I wanted to do was just have the YouTube feed up and be like, "Oh, the next round's being announced. Who's playing who?" Or "Oh, what's the top score?" Or like, "Oh, I want to check in on the live coverage," because I think we're at that point now where it's just, why not? Like, it's so much fun. And if you can't come to the tournament, it would be wicked for you to be able to jump onto the live stream, comment, abuse, cheer, just absolutely be involved, even if you can't be there. This is one of the things we wanted to do for the pod. Like, this is one of the things this is one of the directions that we really wanted to go. And quite frankly, I think we're 70 days away from making it happen. And then Bonehead Bowl. And then all of those events we've just shown off for next year. And just, a new age for Blood Bowl. Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. But anyway, we've talked for hours and haven't even covered most of the topics. So I will say, Ben, thank you very much. Milton, thank you very much for jumping on with us. Appreciate having you, buddy.
Yeah, good to be here.
Right. Let's wrap up, guys. Thank you very much. And thank you all very much for joining us. Description, link, show notes, Discord. Thank you. Store, support local friendly gaming stores. And happy blocking. We'll see you soon. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.